Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in. Z, are you starting a few minutes early today? Yes, Z is. Yes, he is. And shout out to all of you. Hopefully, you guys were able to check out the links in the description box. Um, so we're gonna start off. Shout out to BGS. Um, yeah, if y'all checked out his stream from last night, hopefully you guys did. We're gonna be referencing that, and we're gonna be referencing a Salem Tover, um, and her channel, and some of the things that she was speaking about. We are still going through people, women, some men reacting to the election results, excuse me, and how they are grappling with the election results. Um, yeah, and the talk of the manosphere, black manosphere, why so many young men voted Republican. Um, and as Dr. Richard Reeves said, most of these men, as Mr. Z has said, um, most of these men aren't necessarily actually conservative, but it is a big middle finger to the Democrats and their form of like community unique masculinity that they're pushing over there. Um, yeah. So let's start off with this channel, Salem Tover. Okay. Young lady, um, looks maybe Latina, could be Southern European for all we know, but speaking on the manosphere, and the title of her video actually is how radical manosphere content. Oh, you heard there go. How radical manosphere content is fueling modern day male identity crisis. You know, one of her leading videos was, I want to say, maybe a mother um speaking on hysterical trail, um maybe a mother speaking on how the internet and social media, I guess, is radicalizing these young men and boys. So y'all know Z is going to spend some time on this, right? Of course he is. um no, ma'am. What's really radicalizing these young men are your daughters. Ooh, goddamn. It's their interaction with women. It's their interaction with girls and women. Hypocritical, mean, snarky, rude, entitled girls and women who have a sense of cosmic justice, karmic justice, that allows for them or tells them that it is their right, and they are encouraged to be mean to men, to be mean to boys, to be snarky, rude to boys and men in a response of some cosmic get back and retribution for what some man or some boy did to some woman or some girl 50 and 100 and 1,000 years ago. What's radicalizing your boys and that's if I agree with your framing, madam. If I agree with your framing, what is radicalizing the boys and men, that's if I agree with your framing once again, are your daughters. It's your sons interacting with your daughters. It's the boys interacting with the girls. It's the men interacting with the women. It's the boys' experiences. For the love of God, could we speak about girls and women like they're human beings? Whenever we speak about men, the plight of men, whatever men are going through, the experience of men and boys, we speak about it in a vacuum, as if men are only interacting with other men, or men somehow are getting hurt. How are these boys getting hurt? And how are these men getting hurt? Men are going through divorce court and getting shredded. Men are getting hit with all type of weirdo alimony situations, child support situations. Most men are heterosexual from our understanding. So who are men and boys getting hurt by? Uh-oh. What interactions, right? Who are they communicating with? What's going on where these boys and these men are, okay, let's go with it, being emotionally hurt, mentally, right? Psychologically? Who are they interacting with that's causing them so much pain? Oh, wait a minute. Uh-oh. If y'all look at all of these people, they talk about whether it's Dr. Richard Reeves, even though he's doing a bit better job, but especially the women. The women talk about the men and the boys, the ones that even feign like they give a hell, like they give a damn. They speak about these boys and these men and their plight and their struggles in a vacuum. As I said when I was covering the financial diet a couple months ago, a world without women. That's how they speak about it. Only men are hurting men. Only men are hurting boys. Whether that's physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically. So they speak about these things as if the manosphere, in our case, the black manosphere, is going after the boys. No, the boys are coming here. The men are coming here. They're coming here because y'all lied to them. Dear Miss, was it Salem Tover? The society lied to these men and these boys. So when they get ripped out the frame by women or girls, they come seeking answers and they skip right over Tim Walz. Goddamn. Huh? They skip right over that path again. All that cuddly man stuff, they skip right over that because they know y'all are lying. Y'all were the ones that got them in the situation in the first place. Those men go seeking Andrew Tate. Those boys go seeking Andrew Tate for a reason. They skip right over FD signifier. Goddamn Z. They skip right over foreign man in a foreign land because y'all lied to them. Huh? To Miss Salem Tover, to whoever that lady is that you use that clip from, it's not just simply the internet. Does Mr. Z believe in the algorithms? Yes. Are the algorithms sending us all type of insanity? Yes. Are people in their echo chambers? Yes. Yes to all of it. And with that, the boys and the men are interacting, with the girls and the women. And if I agree with your framing of their radicalization, it's because they're interacting with the girls and the women, the hypocritical girls and women. Mr. Z has said this a million times. I got to say it again. The women don't want to get rid of patriarchy. They just want patriarchy under feminist specifications. They want partnership patriarchy. One foot in partnership, one foot in patriarchy, on and off switch when they want it. Miss us with the women are doing so well in school now and they have their education and they're making their own money, and so the men don't know how to deal with it and the men don't know how to come to terms with it, and we need to socialize the men and the boys better, and we need to raise them to be not insecure, and then we put a microphone in front of your daughter's faces, rest in peace Kevin Samuels, and your daughters sound like elitist a-holes. Your educated, well accomplished, six-figure daughters are still trying to practice hypergamy and marry up. Who wants to be with average anyway, Kevin? Uh-oh. We need to speak about human beings like human beings are complicated and hypocritical. You want to know why? Because human beings are complicated and hypocritical. And you want to know which sex is the most complicated and hypocritical? Oops. Huh? Miss us with the men are insecure and they don't know how to deal with the women are doing so well and the women are comfortable being single. Cue up all the videos of the women crying in their cars because they're single and lonely. Oops. Huh? So have these people learned anything? Y'all are going to try for the next 4 years plus, 8 years, a decade or two to socialize the boys to be okay. And I'm going to get to the word empathy in a minute because Miss Salem Tabor used the word empathy a couple of times. We're going to get to that word in a minute, right? Y'all are gonna try your hardest to raise your boys to overlook women and girls, hypocrisy, sexism, and misandry. And let me tell you how that's gonna work. It's gonna work like a fart going off in a quiet ass church. Uh-oh. Y'all gonna try though, as if y'all haven't been trying that for the past few decades. If y'all want to talk about feelings, fine. Your boys and your men do feel a certain way about the women's hypocrisy, that you lied to them about women's education and women's money and women's status and women's love and what women are looking for and what women are truly attracted by. Z, you're making women a monolith. We're not talking about what women settle for when they're 38 years old. We're talking about who she giving that, shout out to Plies, right? Who she's giving that box to when she's 23 and 24 and 26 years old. You know, when everything's right and tight? Huh? We're not talking about who she practices in case of emergency break glass husband when she's 42. We're talking about when she's 24 and 25. And who's getting the box when she's 24 and 25. And fine, okay, 27 and 28. Huh? And y'all give Z a second, y'all talk amongst yourselves. And we're back. So, emphasizing this, let's get back to it. We speak about young men and boys in a vacuum. We don't speak about them like they're interacting with girls and women. We don't speak about them like they're having good experiences and okay experiences and bad experiences and horrible experiences with girls and women. We don't, because we don't know how to critique, and we refuse to critique girls and women. We refuse to call out girls and women in their hypocrisy. That is why there was a Kevin. That is why thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people have now watched Kevin Samuels, and he's been gone for over 2 years now. That is why that exists. That is why your young men are watching Fresh and Fit and the whatever podcast. That's why that's happening. It's happening because if we let you, Miss Salam Tarver, speak, and you did this, by the way, you speak about and you critique and criticize the Fresh and Fit in a vacuum, the whatever show in a vacuum, as if they're speaking to themselves. No, they're bringing on women, educated women, not educated women, white women, black women, Latina women, Asian women. Huh? They're putting the microphone in their face. They're bringing in women from the East Coast and the West Coast and the South. They're bringing in women who are more sheltered and don't have that many experiences with men, and they're bringing in women who've had a lot of experiences with men. Oh boy. And the universal is women's hypocrisy. That is why these channels get so many views. Y'all have learned nothing. So what we're going to have, what we're going to continue to have, are men and women playing defense and cover up for women in their hypocrisy, girls in their hypocrisy, and y'all are going to continue to try to lie to your sons' faces. Huh? Kevin wasn't speaking to himself. Fresh and Fit don't speak to themselves. The host, I forgot his name, of the whatever podcast doesn't speak to himself. Thank you, Indigo. Critique and criticize because there is a difference. Huh? Now, Miss Salem Taver, she as I said, she plays a clip initially on her channel of the radicalization on the internet, um, speaking about boys and men in a vacuum. Once again, we don't critique women and their behavior and their interaction with men and boys, their hypocrisy. Um, we don't. We just don't. We don't speak about hypergamy. We don't, and which is fascinating because we have PhD women who have noticed this. The Dr. Jennifer Lundquist, the Dr. Chantel Buggs, the Dr. Marcia Inhorns, right? And that says nothing about the Anne Marie Slaughters and Liz Mundys. Everybody's speaking about this thing with women, no matter how educated they are. They want to, at worst, date and marry across, if not date and marry up socially and economically. That's women's imperative. Nothing wrong with that. The problem is everyone else who speaks like that's not a thing. It's the reach and the visibility of all the men and all the women who speak like that's not a thing, and then turn around and then lie to the boys and the men about it. Are you sure it's not you and your concepts of manhood and masculinity? Are you sure you're not the one who's insecure about her success? Are you sure you're not the one who's intimidated? Are you sure it's not you? The men are so intimidated by successful women. And then we put the microphone in your son's face, not so insecure. We put this microphone in your daughter's face. Oh boy, who wants to be with average anyway? Yikes. Huh? Let's go through that word empathy that I was saying before. Miss Salem Tover, you say empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. And the men here, being women's, in case of emergency, break glass man, right? Help from man after all of the I don't need no man, women don't need men, a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle ass talk. You say empathy, and what men hear is don't judge her for all the men that she's actually attracted to and she actually gave the box to and had sex with when she was right and tight and everything was just going right. Have empathy on her that she's marrying you at 35 years old. Don't pay attention to all the men she was attracted to. Don't pay attention to the gym instructor, excuse me. How Rolo said, don't pay attention to Chad, Chisel Chin Chad from the Foam Cannon Party. Don't pay attention to that guy. Be empathetic. She's a human being. She had experiences. She's with you now, right? Huh? All of this talk is really about forwarding men being comfortable with being community eunuchs. For those of you that recall Mr. Z saying to BGS that I feel like they were trying to weaponize Tim Wall's form of masculinity against men and against particularly JD Vance's form of masculinity. BGS just watched it when they bought up Tim Walls. When Dr. Richard Reeves brought up Tim Walls in that conversation, check the links in the description box. I said it, BGS. I'm just saying, BGS. You remember Z said it. Because I recall Emma Viglin, and who else I said, the LGBTQ brother off of MSNBC, Jonathan Capehart, and the way they mentioned Tim Walz, I was like, I get it. Because I remember Jonathan Capehart having the conversation with Dr. Scott Galloway, if I'm not mistaken, and Christine Imba last year. So it is about weaponizing the Tim Walz version of masculinity, which, by the way, we do need these type of men in America. I'm not saying that we don't need the Tim Walz type of men. The way the system, the left, and the way the women are attempting to weaponize the Tim Walz version of manhood and masculinity, this community eunuch, in case of emergency, break glass, cuddly dad form of masculinity, and use it against your average man, Mr. Z is against. But I knew it. So when Richard Reeves brought it up, I was like, yeah. And how did the young men respond to the Tim Walz form of masculinity? They categorically rejected it. Of course they did, and they always were. Not because we don't appreciate, at least for black men, that these men exist and we need these men. By the way, the Tim Walz type of manhood is needed. That kind of blue pill, I'll help you with your tire and I won't flirt with you. I won't make you feel uncomfortable. Right? Ain't no quid pro quo. Huh? I'll let you talk crazy to the men and I'll defend you. I'll let you talk crazy about the men and I'll defend you. Type of masculinity is needed. Z, are you being sarcastic? I'm just saying. But the way the women and the left are attempting to, well, okay, the men need a type of masculinity to follow, and we've dropped the ball on this. We let the right run with their form of JD Vance manhood and masculinity. Okay, who are we going to present? What type of masculinity? Okay, it can't be Joe Biden. He's too old and he's racist. We can't do that. It can't be Barack. He's black. Tim Walz. And the young men said, yeah, about that. No. Huh? So once again, Miss Solemn Tabor, when you say empathy, I'm telling you right now, what the young men here is, in case of emergency, break glass man. Oh, don't mind that I was just saying misandrous things 5 minutes ago. I need help. I'm struggling to put my groceries in my car. Don't mind that I was just being misandrous 5 minutes ago. I need help putting this luggage in the shelf above the seat on the airplane. Please help. Huh? The men are categorically rejecting this community eunuch form of masculinity. Miss Solemn Tabor brings up a different form of masculinity, the more subtle kind, right? She says, there's this in your face kind of Bugatti, rich with all the women type of masculinity. And that's the one that the the Manosphere in this case is pushing. And there's another kind, right? The one with the man with the small house and the wife and the kid, and that masculinity gets laughed out the room. Ma'am, what wife and kid? Ooh, Z, you about to say what you always say, huh? Ma'am, what wife and kid in small house? Have you seen the marriage numbers and which men are getting married and which men are staying married? Uh-oh. Ooh, don't do it, Z. You already know where Z going. First of all, if you're a man with a small house, you probably ain't married in America. 26% of poor Americans are married. 39% of working class Americans are married. 56% of middle class and above Americans are married. When you couple that, Miss Solemn Tabor, when you couple that with the fact that women file for 70 to 80% of divorces, and when you couple that with the fact that poorer Americans are more likely to get divorced than richer Americans, once again, what wife and kid in a small house? You may not like how these men are saying it, You may not like the way the Andrew Tates are speaking, the Myron Gaines are speaking, but they're parsing through the BS hypocrisy of the women and the left and getting right to it. Hey, it's better you be alpha and have all these nice things and an eeny, meeny, miny, mo choose which women you want. If you don't want all of them, that is, oops. Then be subtle and humble and have your little house and be stable and be an overall good guy and good Samaritan. Because the right want to come along based off the numbers, ma'am, that's it. Wrong. Based off the numbers. Unless, of course, we're saying, because we do live in a capitalist society, that the richer men are inherently just the better men. If what we're saying is that the richer men are inherently the better men, then you might have an argument there because based off the numbers, that is what women are saying. God damn, Z. Uh-oh. Once again, 26% of poor Americans are married, 39% of working class Americans are married, 56% of middle class and above Americans are married. You couple that with the fact that women file between 70 to 80% of divorces, you couple those two things together, ma'am, are you saying that the more established, well-off men are the better men? Uh-oh. And Detro says 77 watching, but the likes are super low. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. And talking about super chats. And Vince is, and thank you for the super chat. Oh no, the boys are doing research. And thank you, Vince, for the super chat. Thank you, Vince, for the super chat. I read it right at the right time, right? And once again, Detro, exactly. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. And thank you, Detro. Thank you. Right. Oh boy. Look at the way these people are speaking. Miss Solemn Taver, much like Leisha Miller, much like the financial diet, they speak about men and boys and their issues in a vacuum, and they make little snarky comments and they punch down on the boys and the men just a little bit, definitely the men. Huh? So let's continue. There's a part where Miss Solemn Taver says, she speaks on divorce and she says something like, well, maybe you should be a better partner when she speaks about the men, in the manosphere, speaking about divorce and alimony and child support, et cetera, et cetera. And she says something like, along the lines of, well, maybe y'all should have been better partners, or maybe you should be a better partner. Once again, are you saying, based off that divorce rate, 70 to 80% of divorces are filed by women, and when you couple that with who's more likely to be divorced, once again, richer men are more likely to be married and stay married than poor men. Are we saying inherently that poor men are worse men, or excuse me, worse partners? They show more toxic traits. Or that what we're saying, Miss Solemn Tarver? Uh-oh. It's about to be ugly. Huh? Think about what you're saying, Miss Solemn Tarver. If you're saying, well, these men should have been better partners, and we know, contrary to popular belief, the number one reason for divorce in America, it's either number one or number two, is not infidelity. It's irreconcilable difference. It's really the money. Oops. Better partners, right? Yep. Huh? Miss Solemn Tabor also continues by saying, and she does this thing. If you're a black man, you've heard this a million times from women, which is they subtly suggest or imply, right? Infer that these men might want to engage in same-sex loving relationships if they aren't already engaging in same-sex loving relationships, which is interesting, right? Coming from, excuse me, from Miss Tabor, because women are more likely to date same sex than men are, which is fascinating because women, particularly in the Black community, have a higher domestic violence rate than men do in same sex loving relationships. Uh-oh. If you want to speak about echo chambers, Miss Tolver, and the radicalization on the internet, what has being chronically online done to the left, done to all of you talking heads on social media and on the internet, all of you with your, I'm an internet essayist, I'm a YouTuber, I put out think pieces, feel pieces. How many of you have actually challenged the ethos of that side over there? Huh? So even after the election, the left and these particular people are saying the same things over and over again. They have not budged. Have y'all learned anything? Or are y'all going to try to double and triple down on pushing to these young men the Tim Walz form of manhood and masculinity? These young men want to have sex. Uh-oh. They want women companions. They just don't want the women to be entitled a-holes. Trail said YouTube, and shout out to Dr. Umar Johnson. Right? This is not about who women settle for at 32 and 35 and 38 and 42 and 45 years old. This is about who women are actually attracted to at 25 years old. Huh? Miss us with the empathy talk. Huh? Hysterical Trail. The song just popped in my mind too. Right? So that's all we have is the solemn tavers of the world. And if y'all checked out what BGS covered, and I got that clip also, and look at the way they're speaking. And if y'all recall Simone Sanders, it's just a bunch of crap. These people are lying to our faces. And we'll pause right here. And KMS says, and thank you for the super chat. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. KMS says, young men are looking for the strength. Excuse me. Young men are looking for strength, and with that will come power. They no longer believe society, women, nor should they. The pendulum swing back. The pendulum swing back is going to be a mother effort. Time to collect. And this is their problem. Their fear is the men that are going to go straight transactional all the way, overtly transactional. If the men don't become mercenaries themselves, that's frightening. I would argue, yeah, I agree with you, KMS. I agree. Their fear is that, and if you listen to Solemn Tabor and her tone, no, that there's a bit of fear in there. Not for her, she's married. Not for her individually. But I think she knows well enough to be like, oh crap, if these men, they don't want to interact with women unless it's quid pro quo, yes. Because we already know the women will take advantage of these community eunuch ass Tim Walz ass men that y'all trying to produce. Either women are human beings or they're not. And if power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, then what position, when y'all put women in the power position, are they not going to be corrupt? When y'all put when y'all put the thumb on the scale for working class women over working class men, are they not going to be corrupt? Are women not corruptible? We're not speaking about women being inherently evil or some. No, we're saying that this system, because y'all see women as weaker and more moldable, this system is using women as a buffer class for elite men. This system is using middle class, and working poor women as a buffer class. This is class warfare. Elite men and women are using working class, middle class, poor, working poor women as a buffer. And now, working poor, and poor men realize that and they're responding to it, and there's nothing y'all could do about it. Goddamn, Z. Y'all could bring out all the Tim Walls all you want, all the Jonathan K. Parks all you want. Dr. Richard Reeves could tell us it's not real men to close in on yourself in this MGTOW talk, and he could say that all he wants. The men said they would rather be MGTOW than be the community eunuch for your a-hole daughters. These men don't want your daughter when she's 48 years old and the local aspiring rapper and the local aspiring pop star and the could have been, should have been football player, the could have been, should have been basketball player, the could have been, should have been baseball player, the could have been, should have been soccer player, football. When they're all done with her, these men are not trying to marry your daughter at 48 and 52 years old in case of emergency, break glass because I'm super lonely. Huh? Trail, that's before we even get to the fact that these women are insufferable. And Trail says many aren't even nice. That's before we even get to that. They don't care nothing about that. That means nothing to them. Right? They think it's their right to be insufferable. And I agree. And the men said, yeah, about that. Stay single for life then. And pretend like you're stoic about it. Oops. That's for those of you that actually have the ovaries to do it. Many of you are going to record yourselves in your car crying. Yikes. Huh? Miss Tover, the men, if I agree with the framing, they're not being radicalized by the other men. We're only helping to put this in context. They're being radicalized by women like you. I went through some of the comments. All of these women, and based off, it's similar to the videos that she was playing. All these, I lost my son to all of this internet content, and I lost and my son and my boyfriend and these young men and these men, and they're watching this stuff and oh. You know who radicalized your boyfriend? You did. Goddamn, Z. You know who's radicalizing your son? You are. When y'all get into y'all war councils with other women and y'all talking crap about your husbands and your ex-husbands, your baby daddies and whatnot, y'all are radicalizing your sons because they're right there or they're around the corner. You know who's radicalizing your sons? Their experiences with the girls in their schools when they're underage, the experiences with the women when they're adults. The hypocrisy that no one wants to address with a 10-foot pole. No giggity. Right? The hypocrisy. The fact that for your sons that are going to college and university, they're sitting right next to your daughters. They're both going to be in student loan debt up to their eyeballs, and yet your daughters are demanding six-figure men. I told y'all culture is downstream from politics. Y'all thought this was just weirdo men on the internet that can't get laid talking crazy on the internet. First, you're wrong, but even if you're right, ooh, you should be even more afraid. Oh, whoopsie. Huh? Now what? Your sons are sitting next to your daughters in class. They have women teachers. They see the sexism. Your sons, even if they can't articulate it, they see the sexism. They see the entitlement. They see the thumb on the scales for the girls and the women. They see it. Huh? And whatever cosmic justice, cosmic retribution, trying to even the scales that y'all tell your sons, they're not buying it. It'd be one thing if y'all truly were raising your daughters, hey, you know, there might be a chance that you earn more than, the boys and the men, and that's okay. Meet someone you love, um, and y'all make it work. That's not what's happening. Your daughters are going to college, they're going to university, they're either ending up with those men eventually after they done had their fun in the foam cannon party or had their fun with the guys around the school that aren't going to the school. Oops. And for the women that don't, they come out here in the dating world looking for the men that earn as much as them or more, looking for the men with the same status as them or more. Nothing wrong with that. Unfortunately, there's a whole lot of men on the other side of those nuclear rejections, goddamn Z. Huh? Good point. And Vince says their favorite uncles and nephews are listening too. It's crazy listening to these women speak about men and boys in a vacuum. It's fascinating listening to them speak about men and boys in a vacuum. These men and boys are having real experiences with your daughters, with your sisters, with your mothers. Goddamn. Watching Miss Solemn Tabor, literally, it's fascinating listening to these people. That's why I titled the video I did on the financial diet. That's why I titled it "A Land Without Women" or "A World Without Women," because these people can't help to speak about the world when it's time to speak about what experiences the men are having and who they're having these experiences with. Ain't nobody want to talk about your hypocritical a-hole daughters, your sexist, misandrist daughters. The boys need help. Help with what? From who? Goddamn. Uh-oh. Huh? All y'all know how to speak about is the men and the boys don't know how to come to terms with the new normal. The new normal, the women get to choose their life, and the boys and men are like, yeah, she is choosing her life. And she wants me to fund it. And it don't matter how educated she is, goddamn Z. It doesn't matter her station in life. It doesn't matter her money. Miss us with the 4B movement. I'm gonna come to y'all with another stream, maybe later on today, maybe tomorrow, about Herbie. Yes, LGBTQ Herbie. Yes, Khadijah Herbie. And some of the stuff he's saying. Oh yeah. Y'all still don't know. Now, shout out to BGS. As BGS said, we're here now. If y'all check out the links in the description, y'all will see I put mystical. Here I go. Oh yeah, we're here now. I really should have put here I go and the man right here. I'm gonna actually put the man right here too. It's gonna be both. Because it is both. Perfect songs for this right now. Never mind Mystical's history. Anyway, even though that second arrest was some BS. But anyway, huh? Let's call a thing a thing. These men and these boys are interacting with your daughters. These men are being ripped apart. The men that are being ripped apart in divorce court. They are getting hit with insane numbers for alimony and insane numbers for child support because the judge know that that woman's going to use the child support to subsidize her life. Stop talking about. You know what? Y'all have bought into your own hype. Y'all really think the men are that dumb? Or y'all just gonna lie, and then if you keep on lying, the world will just believe your lie. If you just keep on speaking like you're the victim of all these men, or all these men are sexist monsters that want to oppress women, if we just keep on saying it over and over and over again, it'll be true eventually. Huh? That's hysterical. Better use his. Could you understand what Mystical was saying though? Hysterical. Yes, for most of it. Right? Vince's their egalitarian male counterparts are listening with open minds that they have, and then doing the math themselves. You know, it's I would argue a lot of these kind of weirdo simp ass dudes, they know the women are off. They just think it's okay because they've bought into the concept of the cosmic justice also. When you don't think FD knows what's going on, FD gets it 100%. FD gets it. He just thinks, you know what? I mean, racism and white supremacy, and it's gonna be, is the black community is gonna default to a matriarchy, and the women are gonna act up. But it's up to us as men to be just like, I don't know, the perfect men, and be okay with that. Just no. Shout out to Ed once again for asking the question on Bernard Riley's channel. Is the black community a matriarchy? FD said yes, and then it got worse when he tried to explain it. Huh? These guys know why brothers with money and status are more likely to marry out. They know why. They just like to act like they don't get it. They know why. They just like to act like it's all sexism. It's all misogynorism. No. As Mr. Z has said, I heard BGS say it, the women are like, yeah, you have the money and the resources and the status. Bring that over here so I can dictate where that goes. Oh, you won't do it. Oh, that's because you're a sexist, misogynistic, misogynorous pig. Huh? I think so too. Thank you, Cam. I've said that. I've said that. And Cam says, I bet FD lives how Charles Faulkner talks. He's crazy, not stupid. FD runs his house. You could tell he does. You could tell. That's why I never call that brother soft. I think he's full of crap. He ain't soft. He ain't no pushover. I think he know. You're talking about a brother that was working on his PhD program. He knows exactly, and he read Dr. Tommy Curry's "A Man Not." He ain't dumb. He knows what this is. FD. And to Miss Solemn Taper, you're never gonna get the men to be okay with funding the women's hypocrisy. You're never going to get the men to be okay with it. 20% of men, maybe. The rest, absolutely not. You're not going to get the masses of men being okay with getting the sloppy seconds of the elite men. You're not going to get the masses of men to be okay with that. Oh, I'll just catch her after her first or second divorce. I'll just catch her after her first or second baby daddy. Huh? I'll catch her in her 40s, late 40s on top of that. Whoopsie. Huh? You're never going to get the masses of men to be quote unquote empathetic to that, Miss Solemn Tabor. Y'all notice that? Sherry Shepard over here speaking about what essentially rent a husband from her friends. You got Solemn Tabor over here talking about empathy. All of this weirdo community eunuch stuff. Shout out to Obsidian for the phrase. It's perfect. And salute, what's going on? International Ronin, what's going on? Right? This is some weirdo, and y'all think the men are okay with this? It's a whole lot of people pretending like they don't understand what the problem is here. The problem is not educated women. The problem is not women earning their own money. The problem is not really even so much independent women. The problem is all of these women still want a particular lifestyle and man and miss us. And that's why Solemn Tabor, when she brought up these what about with these men? They just want, what about the men that just want a wife in a small house and a kid? What men? Those men aren't getting that. Those men with the small house aren't married. The women never married him. Goddamn Z. Those men that would have the small house don't even have a kid. Many of them, because once again, the woman wouldn't marry him. Maybe he has an oops baby. That woman wouldn't marry him though. The numbers say that. So that's not even Z pulling that out his rear end. Say it again, Z. 26% of poor Americans are married, while 56% of middle class and above Americans are married. That's about money and status, ma'am. Poorer Americans are more likely to be divorced than well off Americans. Once again, that's about money and status, ma'am. Women file for 70 to 80% of divorces, ma'am. What are you talking about? Huh? Wow. Y'all don't appreciate what's going on here. The men said, you shall go no further. You shall not pass. That's what the men said. You shall not pass. So y'all could attempt to form some coalition between conservative Christian nationalist men and the kind of dweeby liberal white men, mainly some black men, Latino men, and try to get them to chastise and beat the average man into submission. It's not gonna happen. We don't want to imitate those guys. Huh? That's hysterical, Vincent. You done heed your last haul. It's corny. And it's so corny, it's funny. That's hysterical. And Spain Man says, likes up. Come on, FD and Kim. Hysterical. Oh, that's hysterical. You didn't heed your last haul. Hysterical. L's active. You see what I'm saying? What man doesn't like cars and women, though? Yes, many of us, we have different type of hobbies. We like different type of things. Different things interest us. Cool. It's fascinating because like it's the women are, they're really smart in this. They're like playing all of their position, right? No sexual. They're leaving space for the men that they actually find attractive and they're gonna have fun with in their 20s, but they still want the square guy that's desperate and waiting in their mid 30s and early 40s. They still want that guy to be around because that's the soft place to land when it doesn't work out with Chisel Chin Chad or Chisel Chin Tyrone or Chisel Chin Julio or Chisel Chin Lee, Chisel Chin Ahmed. When it doesn't work with him, right? When it doesn't work with him, they still want you to be there as a soft place to land. And then this is when they start hitting you with all the empathy and understanding. And, you know, I was growing and I didn't understand. And I did this. Right? And these men are radicalizing, and the internet's radicalizing these men. No, ma'am. You're radicalizing these men. on that subject, and thank you for the super chat once again, KMS. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. And KMS says society is now reaping the harvest of men from the boys it chastised. Lowercase gods running faux harems, accommodating but unless useless saps, and on ocean of the indifference. Who could care less? Look, the lowercase g gods that have their harem of like women and they're pretending like they don't get it, they're pretty much always going to be okay. Whether they get married or not, whether they have children or not, they're going to have stories. They're going to be okay. What's fascinating are the women who wanted to be with that guy, the women who were with that guy, and all the men who aren't that guy. That's when the conversation gets interesting. That's when the conversation gets interesting. It's the women who wanted to be with that guy, the women who were with that guy, and the men who were never that guy. Huh? Ooh, red falls black. I ain't even gonna say it out loud. I'm just saying. Whoopsie, goddamn, my finger slipped. Jesus Christ. What is this on my screen? Jesus, let me. God damn it, dude, my finger always be slipping at the wrong time. Gee, come on, let me get this off my screen. Wait a minute. Okay, let's get that off the screen. All right, all right. Jeez, always slipping on the wrong time. Jeez. Huh? KMS says they get it. They're nihilistic. There's nothing that makes you disgusted in women like having a bunch of women, bro. You know, Mr. Z has been okay when it comes to that in life. Not a lot, but we I. But I've had cousins and friends, and bruh, KMS is exactly what you say. They're not part of the Black Manosphere. They don't listen to this type of content. But yes, the way they speak about women is fascinating. And I have brothers that they exclusively only, had fun with black women, and I've had um family members who have tasted the rainbow, we'll say. And yeah, you're right about the disgust because it's what those women are willing to do for their nut, right? It's cheating on their boyfriend, the way they flirt. I've had a cousin just straight up tell me, like, bro, like you don't get it because you were on that side. You were more on the square side. I'm telling you, because he used to um be a gym instructor and you know, and it's bro, it's exactly what you're saying, KMS. He doesn't engage in none of the manosphere talk. He never have, but he's been good. He's been racking since high school. I'm talking about one of my relatives here. And whenever we get into the woman conversation, as KMS said, he's tasted the rainbow, Latina, white, black, and like you're saying, married, single, kids, no kids, just yeah, right, huh? And it's interesting, yo, what these women are willing to do, where they're willing to do it. It's crazy, and and there's no class distinction. There's no education difference. There's no status or money. Like if you're that dude, women they'll oblige. All the rules they have for everybody else don't apply to you. Whether she's educated, whether she's making really good money, whether she's successful or not, it doesn't apply to you. All the standards and rules are for everyone else. It's for all the other dudes that she's meh about, right? Huh? Say that. Abe O says, from my experience, the higher the education, the more open they are. And KMS says, nothing like having a chick bring you a doggy bag from her dinner date and serve it to you in bed. Serve it to you in her bed. This is what I'm saying. Once again, Miss Solemn Tabor doesn't appreciate there's not no Miami or LA bimbo. That's not exclusive to them. See, when they talk about these women, and you saw it with that other woman, that white woman that Rolo critiqued. I think she has her own channel too, and she was like, I'm an alpha woman, and what type of women are you talking about? And it's like, ma'am, men are interacting with a bunch of different type of women. The men we're speaking about, they're getting that treatment from all of you different classes and different type and different educational background, and they're getting, y'all are doing that for those dudes across the board. And then the brothers talk about y'all, those white guys talk about y'all in the barbershop, at the game. We know what y'all are up to. Dear ladies, we know about the secret rendezvous in the car with Chisel Chin Chad, that's an attorney. We know. Huh? We know about the secret rendezvous at the hotel after work, after happy hour. We know. Huh? Thank you, Trill. Rules for them, but not for him. For Himothy. Ain't no rules for Himothy. Himothy get to do whatever he wants. However he wants. Ooh. And okay, fine. That's women's prerogative. We already know those dudes. Yes. But dear ladies, this idea that what about the subtle guy that he has a small house and he has one wife and he has one kid and yawn. The women said who wants to be with average anyway. That's what they said. That's what they're showing. Look at who's getting married. Look at who's staying married. Thank you. And Vincent, Himothy is listening too. That goes back to what KMS is saying. Ain't nobody more disgusted than the dudes that got all of the different type of women. I hate how they frame that. I hate how women frame that. These guys are piping educated women, buttoned up women, the squarest woman on the planet. It's not just the woman that's all out there with the super short pencil skirt and stop. It's not just the chick that's on Fresh and Fit and no. You nerdy chicks, you different. I'm different. Stop. You married women, you women in relationships, you women that are engaged, you women with one child, no children, 2, 3 kids from 2, 3 different men. I already told y'all the story of the one white male attorney that I used to work with. He was running through all of them. White, black, Latina dude is married. White, black, Latina, super thick Haitian chick, pencil thin white girl. He was running through all of them, and they all knew he was married. Why, Z? Because his wife worked at the goddamn office. Whoopsie. And that stopped nothing. By the way, there's nothing wrong with that. But dear ladies, stop speaking like it's a certain type of woman who does that. What type? Well, what's the type? Z, why are you speaking about this? I thought you were speaking about, this manosphere talk. I still am. Culture is downstream from politics. Until y'all address these lying weirdo women, until you address the fact that the men aren't going to school because they don't want to hear your feminist crap in these schools, and they're expensive as hell, that part. Until you address the hypocrisy of the ladies that you're not actually raising them to be in nuclear family with men that potentially earn less than them. Y'all are raising them to be hyper individualistic, in case of emergency, break glass community in society. And the men said, no, you're not going to get your rocks off with chisel chin attorney that Z was talking about. Be single, having your fun with that guy, and then in case of emergency, break glass with the guy I have in the friend zone. Absolutely not. And then here comes Solemn Tabor talking about empathy. Huh? Oh no, I didn't see that yet, Vince. And Vince says, Z, you get my email about the white doctor walking around his clinic naked and putting baby batter on the nurses? No. Okay, I'm gonna check my email. Wow. Wow. Right? And Mr. Shukti uses cars, bathroom stalls, janitor closets, in and out quickie, while significant other is at work in their own apps, so or in their app apartments or home. Yeah. Yep. The women are getting it. Women are human beings. Women are human beings. Y'all got to talk about them like they're human beings. Not like they're the worst thing on the planet, but not like they're infallible also. Women are human beings and they're engaging in all sorts of behaviors. And the women that a lot of folks would think would never engage in a certain type of behavior concerning men will engage in that certain type of behavior. The women you thought would never do this type of thing with that type of man, she did this type of thing with that type of man. Y'all got to talk about women as if they are complex and hypocritical. And the left is having a really difficult time coming to terms with the men said you should go no further. You've reached the market cap of speaking about the men and their behavior and the way they speak in a vacuum. You've reached the market cap. And Solemn Tabor and all of these other folks are still engaging in that, as you're not going to progress no further. That's it. The critiquing the men's behavior in a vacuum, being critical of the men's behavior in a vacuum, that's it. Oh, okay. Vince put the link in the description box. Y'all gives you a second. Y'all gives you 1 second. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. Wow. Wow, Vince. Wow. Okay. First, let's get this the grooming part, which means he was getting away with this. The grooming part, which means he was getting away with this. He got this extreme because he kept on doing this. It didn't only speak about employees that were under him, pun intended. It also spoke about him doing this with patients. Woo! Let's get to it. Goddamn, Z, you going there? I'm going there with rocket boosters on. What can a well-off white man? What can he not do in America? What can a well-off white man with some status? God forbid he's good-looking. What can he not do? Huh? So eventually, yeah, he get caught and he get in trouble because he took it a little too far. Emphasis on a little too far. There's a pun in there somewhere. But what, once again, a professional white man with some money, God forbid, once again, he's tall and good looking. What can he not do in America? Meanwhile, Miss Solemn Tabor wants us to have empathy for the woman he does stuff with. For the Uzi, you said woman. The women, oops, that he does stuff with. Huh? And once again, thank you for the super chat, KMS. Thank you for the super chat. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. And Vince says, if you give a mouse a cookie, right? So culture is downstream from politics. We have to be honest about that. We have to be honest that yes, there are a number of men. What they really want is to just chill. They want their slice of the American pie. They want their 2.3 kids with their house in the burbs, maybe the city. Their entry level luxury car or their pickup truck or their Baja styled SUV or whatever the hell. They want to go to the 9 to 5. They want to go on vacation at least once to twice a year, and they don't care about working. Working is not the problem. They just don't want to work themselves to death for a woman who's going to divorce them and take their kids and take whatever money she can, if she can, on the way out the door, Miss Solemn Tabor. That is what the men are speaking about. Dear Dr. Richard Reeves, that's what the men are speaking about. What Dr. Richard Reeves is telling the men is, we can't bring that back. So y'all are going to have to get comfortable doing what exactly? Huh? Doing what exactly? Huh? Not getting that, not getting that, but being okay and still do for society. Once again, community unit. The men are not okay with being community unit. They're not going to be okay with being community unit. They won't be community units. And y'all gives you a second. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Reckless streams, y'all gives you a second. And we're back. My apologies, everyone. My apologies. Reckless streams, y'all already know. Let's make sure that. Oh, see, that's not attached. Give me a second. Let's do that. Right? Okay, we should be okay. Yeah, and we're back. And we are back. Right? Let's read this one now. What does KMS say? Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. And KMS says, society made interactions with women binary. You either get all of her, the best of her, and all her girlfriends, wink, or you're fighting for the leftover scraps of her off another man's plate. Women will suffer. Oh yeah. Well, so speaking about zero-sum games, speaking about especially what you're saying, KMS, that's part of capitalism, right? All or nothing, right? What did Anand Gigradas say? Winner takes all. Winner takes all. Why do we think that means everything but one of the most important vital resources for human beings? Each other. Ooh, goddamn, Z. One of the most vital, important resources for men, women. If we live in a capitalist society and everything is under those rules and rubrics, including your interactions with the opposite sex, then why do we speak as if that does not apply, I don't know, to the opposite sex? Gender Warlord, you're back. Gender Warlord in the house. I haven't seen you in a little while. The channel got deleted. We were wondering if you were okay or not, right? I didn't forget about you, Southern person. I didn't forget about you, right? So if we're gonna speak about this, then we have to be honest about what our current paradigm has caused when it comes to men and women interaction. That was a great comment, by the way, KMS. And so we're asking the men that quote unquote lost, fine, y'all want to call them losers? Fine, losers can destroy your society. Losers can say, yeah, let the old racist 80-year-old that was born with a silver spoon up his rear end, let him run the country. Again, oops. If we got to feel the hurt, everybody got to feel the hurt. Huh? Everybody want to speak like they don't understand why the men voted for Trump. Even the young men, if they say they're all for these things, why would they vote for Trump and JD Vance? Because they said screw it then. Stop acting like you don't understand a vote for spite, number one. And if I lose, we all lose. Huh? Who said it the other day? I thought it was a genius comment. If I don't get a family, you don't get a society. Go into what KMS said. Y'all want to make it zero sum? Fine. If I don't get a family, you don't get a society. Huh? Oh, that sounds bitter. That sounds like loser talk. And huh? That was a genius comment. And it's true to what KMS is saying. Y'all want to make this zero sum, the elite. So either the men with all the money and the status, the really good looking men, the men with the insane gift of gab, they're the ones that are going to have all the women and all. So we're going back to 2 and 3 and 5,000 years ago when these type of guys were the ones with all the women and everybody else just have to get it how they live. If that's what we're going back to, then fine, be prepared for the society that reaches a cap on its development. Huh? If that's the world y'all want to create, then be prepared for the fallout. Don't expect the men to still do and produce like they have families because they don't, like they have children because they don't. If y'all want to go to the world where 40% of men are the ones that's having all the kids, then be prepared for the fallout of 40% of men having all the kids. Y'all know what that's going to look like. It ain't pretty. Right? It ain't nothing nice. Huh? By the way, Z is super reckless right now. Right? If only y'all knew what Z was maneuvering around on the back of this thing right now. Right? Huh. No, what KMS said is true. You couple that with the brother said, um, if I don't get a family, y'all don't get a society. And by the way, I'm not saying the men are consciously thinking that. The young men are consciously thinking that. I'm not saying they're saying that. I'm saying their actions are saying that, though. I'm saying their action. As I said, the relative I have that doesn't engage with none of the black manosphere, no manosphere talk, none of that. And as KMS said, ain't nobody more disgusted by women than the men that get all the women. He's one of those brothers, and he don't engage. And I've seen it. I've heard him speak. Huh? Exactly what KMS said. This is not sustainable. This is not sustainable. This is not sustainable. I want to be very clear. Mr. Z is not talking about what should be. Mr. Z is speaking about what is and what's going to be if we continue down this road. Once again, what is and what will be if we continue down this road. If we continue down this road, you don't get community eunuch men. You get men who throw their hands up and keep on walking while a woman is being assaulted by another man, while a woman is being assaulted by another woman. World star, that's what you get. You don't get men intervening for real. Huh? If you want a world where the men are community eunuchs, The men will not be. They'll just become indifferent and apathetic to the plight of women and children. Y'all could continue to try to keep on pushing. Just because you ain't getting vagina doesn't mean you gotta be. No, you can't do that. Yes, they can, and they will. And what incentives do you have on the table for them not to? Thank you, KMS. And KMS says you get the indifferent tsunami. Trell says men, meh, right? Shoulders up. This is not sustainable. This is not the way it should be. This brings about a collapse of your society. This brings about the techno dystopian future that Z and Black Uru and BGS speaks about. The technology is going to keep on going slower now. You don't have as many people, huh? But the societal ramifications, oh, it's going to look ugly. Ooh, it's about to look ugly. Like a mug. And once again, thank you for the super chat, Vince. Huh? Compassion said you got the Book of Eli without Denzel. This thing ain't going to look pretty. It's not now. And AB says PSA, the INCL white supremacist doesn't speak. Doesn't speak for the Manosphere. Nobody respects him. True. True. Just making sure we put the PSA out there. Thank you for that, AB. Thank you. Right. As KMS say, if the chisel chin Chad gets to hoard all the women, he gets to be married to one, and then have fun with all the rest of them. And then when they're not with him, they're buzzing themselves to death, or they'll deal with a quote unquote lesser him, but everyone else is just out here. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Just prepared for yourself not to have a society, not a cohesive one. Huh. Trail said it's not getting hot in here, it's getting ugly in here. Right? Chuck, good point, Chuck. And Chuck says a system cannot fail those it was never meant to protect. Z. Right? Hmm. Goddamn, that's good. And Mr. Shook to you says technology is a gift and a curse. If you were in an emergency situation, who would you call if no one can remember a phone number? That's good. That's actually really good. That's a good ass question. Right? And Southern Purchase says, and thank you for the super chat. Excuse me. Thank you for the super chat. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. And Southern Purchases got into an argument with two of my sister's co-workers, one black, one white. I told them that this is the first in U.S. history where the first lady or second lady aren't white. They can't see the play at all. They don't understand what white men. What I'm telling you, white men used Asian women to punish white women. Oh, y'all want to be on the feminist stuff? Asian women, where y'all at? And the Asian women obliged, because of course they did. A handful of black women, some Latina women, mainly white passing Latina women, almost white women, mestizo Latina women. Huh? Men are not going to sign up for y'all a-hole women, dear women. You're not going to get the world where you get to be boss hogs off of man's dime, whether you have your own or not. I don't know why y'all think men don't see the play. You know what? It's because of decades of y'all really believing that men are that dumb because y'all told each other that men are that dumb. Why y'all think men don't see the play? Educated women, not educated women, well-resourced women, women that are poor, high status women, low status women, all looking for the man to subsidize their life while they give him and other men their ass to kiss. And will a handful of women get that? Yes. Yes. Will most women get that? No. And if you're in quote unquote historically marginalized groups, if you're a quote unquote minority, especially if you're a black woman, you definitely ain't getting it. No wonder all of y'all want to end up with the elite white man. If you're Latina, most likely not. If you black, definitely not. If you're Asian, even probably, maybe, kind of, sort of, probably not. Huh? No, that's exactly what I'm saying. And KMS is white men pulling other chicks off a second string to check white women. That's exactly what I'm saying. What are their actions showing? That's exactly what Z is saying they're doing. Right? Huh. As a matter of fact, Martin Goldberg spoke to that. That's one of his fears is the children and grandchildren that are products of these white men going overseas to the Philippines or to Laos or to Cambodia. I don't remember if those were the countries he mentioned. I think he said Philippines, but still, I get the message. The white guys that are dealing with more indigenous looking Mexican women, and all as white women chase after essentially chisel chin Chad. Maybe there's a chisel chin Tyrone in there. And the white men say, you know what? The average white man says he throws his hands up and he either deals with women of color in America, that's black women, that's once again the indigenous looking, Latina women, that's South Asian women, that's Southeast Asian women. Once again, that's where Philippines and Cambodia and Indonesia and whatnot come in, Laos come in. Or whether that's if the white guy goes passport bros, literally the same countries, Laos, Cambodia, Philippines, Indonesia. Huh? Central and South America, maybe Africa. Yeah, exactly. Thailand. That was Martin Gold. He did a video about this. Fine. Dear ladies, what you're not going to get is community eunuchs. Listening to Miss Solemn Tapers say empathy, I'm like, oh, I know where you're going with this. No. Do I truly believe? Is there a space for empathetic human beings, and do people deserve empathy every once in a while? I don't know about the word deserve, but I get it. But when women are weaponizing men and how men should, quote unquote, should be more empathetic against those same men, absolutely not. You don't get to be the pass around for elite guys and then wake up at 43 years old and say, huh? Wake up at 37 years old, 38 years old when that biological clock is ringing off the goddamn hook. And in case of emergency, okay, where's the what's his name that was in the friend zone? The one I left in the friend zone for 7 years. Where is he? Did he ever get married? He did. Goddamn, he didn't. Okay, you know what? You know how you used to flirt with me a little bit, and I never wanted to tell you, but I kind of liked you too, and I think what do you think about going out Sunday? No. And then those women want to frame that like it was an epiphany. Yawn. Talk about insulting. Huh? Those women want to frame that like it was an epiphany. Chrissy, old bum ass, told you she used to be out here with the street dudes and the hood dudes in the streets. It didn't work out. However, it didn't work out. Now she's doing her best rendition of elitist a-hole white woman. Racist white woman. And a lot of women are on that. They go out there once again trying to be with the aspiring baseball player, basketball player, soccer player, football player, aspiring artist, all different types of excuse me, all different forms of art. And when that fails, and when they try as the doctor and the attorney fails, if and when it fails, then they start looking around at the other guys. Them other guys, bro, we're human beings. People have pride. Huh? Y'all walking through the mall, you're, oh, that's my ex. Oh, okay, cool, cool, cool. Well, y'all, okay, y'all used to date him. What he do? Y'all walk in another mall. Oh, I dated him for a little while. Wait a minute, there's a pattern here. Y'all walking in the movie, somebody walking out. She's like, oh, I used to talk to him a little bit. Wait a minute, there's a pattern here. I don't look nothing like those guys. Uh-oh. Football. Shout out to Tro. Huh? Passport OG says Indian First Lady gonna be a serious wake up call. Um, Years ago, over a decade ago, when and I mentioned this a little while ago, the white guy that deleted the Asian young lady in that university, and stuffed her in one of the school freezers or school refrigerators or something like that. I was watching that story, and I want to say it was either HLN or Fox. It wasn't CNN. If I remember correctly, it wasn't CNN. I want to say it was Fox News, but it could have been HLN. It was, if I remember correctly, it wasn't CNN, it wasn't MSNBC. It was either HLN or Fox News, and a white woman, a pundit. If I remember, it wasn't a host. Could have been, because remember, this is however long ago that was. Maybe even 15 plus years ago. And a white woman who was, I want to say, a pundit, she may not have been the host, said something along the lines of these men are going after these Asian women because they see them as softer and more innocent, or she said something along those lines. White women been knowing. And that's me just responding to Passport OG. But because of white women's position in this society, they got to pretend like they didn't get it. They got to pretend. As a matter of fact, one of Joe Rogan's early, I mean, when Joe Rogan used to be in that little room studio forever ago, I'm talking about goddamn forever ago. Joe Rogan had some white woman on, and if I remember, I want to say it was Joe Rogan's show. It could have been another show, but I want to say it was Joe Rogan, possibly. It could have not been. Let's just say I was watching a show, and some white woman was saying, "I get it. They got little vaginas," and she didn't use the word vagina. Clearly, she used the p word. But they have little vagina. I could understand why men want Asian women, and they was, and they look petite, and they're small, and the stereotype about soft and submissive, and White women been knowing they hate it, but because of their social and political position in the society, they got to pretend like they didn't feel the threat. They got to pretend like, what threat? What are you talking about? And we don't even think like that. Now, on the other hand, I agree with you, Passport OG. They're gonna start showing their ass. White women gonna start. Hey, well, yeah, white men can yank white women's chain, but white women gonna put some yank back on that chain too. Like, hey, you better get back in the house too. I think so. I think white women gonna go in panic mode. Wait a minute, we gonna lose white men to, and then what we supposed to do? There's only so many chisel chin Tyrones to go around. How many of us want to marry? We want to have fun with Tyrone, but I don't know about marrying him. Ew. Right? Man, white men, excuse me, white women been knowing. White women been knowing, right? So yeah, to what Southern Preachers was saying, yeah, th- some of them don't see the play. Some of these people, these women, don't see the play, and it's so easy to play. If fine, if y'all feel like Andrew Tate and all of these people are ego stroking men, right? If you feel like they're gassing men up, and what do you think is going on in these women's spaces? Y'all are trying to get them comfortable with being single cat ladies. And they're not. They're miserable. Some of them do a way better job at pretending they're not miserable than others, but they're miserable. Ah, oh, that's hysterical. Better you. And Better Hugh says, white men to white women. Oh, you like to have fun with Tyrone too. For real though. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. So some of them get it, but I would argue many of them don't. Many of them don't. Some get it, but many don't. And Mr. Shukti says Asian women are the closest women to reproducing kids in the white man's image um and follow their man's lead. True, the blue-haired feminists will just be bred out, huh? And some of those blue-haired feminists will end up with kind of whatever dweeby kind of white dudes, huh? This is where the Leisure Millers and whatnot come in. They'll end up with those guys, huh? And they'll keep their feminist thing because the man and the women both know that he felt like he won the lottery with ending up with her. So some of them they'll catch the dweeby white dude, second, third, fourth round draft pick, and he don't want to know her sexual history for the love of God, because then he'll have to wake up to, oh crap, I'm in case of emergency break glass husband. Some of those guys end up lying to themselves about, no, she had an epiphany and she didn't, those guys were such horrible guys. And yes, they're chisel chin and six pack and right. Whatever you have to tell yourself to sleep at night. Right. Oh, sure. I gave us a link. And y'all gives you a second. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. What in the hell, Trill? Okay, continuing. Trill. So the 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 ex-boyfriend was the second person that she wanted deleted. The third person she wanted deleted was some woman who made negative comments about her. The first person she wanted deleted was competition. Hey, let's get back to this. As he literally just said in this stream, women are human beings. Women are human beings. Y'all gotta stop framing women as if they're more moral than men, as if there is something that she would not or women would not engage in if given the opportunity. That women, inherent to women, is some type of humanity or morality that does not have to be socialized into them. Just like y'all say it has to be socialized into men. This lady wanted to delete one, her competition, to her ex-boyfriend. And by the way, notice when they said her ex-boyfriend, if I remember correctly, it didn't say nothing about something the ex-boyfriend did. It just said ex-boyfriend. So just you, I don't know what type of breakup or whatever. She just went, hey, delete him just because. And the third was somebody that said, I guess, disparaging comments about her on social media. Huh? Speak about women like they are human beings, because they are human beings. If absolute power corrupts and excuse me, if power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, especially over the past few decades, we've been speaking about women like they're infallible in relationship to men, particularly in the black community. Oh my God. Particularly in the black community. Well, you're going to get what you get. And getting what you get is, well, what we're witnessing now. Huh? What we're witnessing now. She tried to take out a hit on 3 different people. And then you wonder why the men are moving the way they are, voting in the direction they are, speaking about the women in the way they are. Because for decades, y'all have spoken about women and y'all have socialized the boys that the women are infallible in relationship to them. The girls are infallible in relationship to them. And here we are now. Here we are now. Meanwhile, y'all were putting the thumb on the scales for these girls and women. And here we are now. Huh? Lady's trying to delete her competition. Okay, we've heard about stuff like that in history. Lady over here thinking she's Kim Jong Il, oh, excuse me, Kim Jong Un of South Korea, because didn't his wife have the ex girlfriend deleted? Because he deleted his uncle when he first came into power, right? He deleted his uncle because the uncle was pretty much the second in command from his dad. So his dad passed. He had the uncle deleted, and if I'm not mistaken, the wife had the ex girlfriend deleted. So this lady thinking she's Kim Jong Un and wants her ex boyfriend deleted. Man, if you don't get that time, then this is why you're about to serve time, lady. 120 months. Huh? And hopefully you guys can still hear Z. Y'all give Z a second, actually. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. And we're back. And Trell says, 10 years, that's it? Yeah, 120 months. I guess because it never happened and whatever. So it's attempted, right? But yeah, murder for hire, and I think they said that's the max they give out in whatever state that was, right? Murder for hire. Wow. So yeah, Trell, like, man, women are human beings, everyone. Women are human beings. And in relationship to men, women put their finger to the wind. They saw that elite men and elite women put the thumb on the scales for the women, and the men are responding to that. The men are responding to that. The men are not gonna you're the men are never gonna vote for you to make them community eunuchs. The men are never going to vote for you to make them community eunuchs. Dear society, no. Dear America, no. The men said no. The men said no. Huh? Oh, okay. And Trell says no, it was a Fed charge. Okay, okay. I thought it was by the state. Okay. You look. So you have Dr. Richard Reeves. Dr. Richard Reeves knows what it is. He's just attempting to appeal to some type of morality or humanity and the self-interest of the women. But here's the thing: I think what Dr. Richard Reeves doesn't appreciate is that upper middle class and above, mainly white women, they're gonna get married anyway. They're gonna be okay-ish anyway. So you're attempting to speak to them and appeal to them and tell them to kind of come off of some of this social power, and but they're not, because they're not gonna suffer being single for the most part anyway. They're getting married anyway. They're having their one and two and maybe three, but mainly one and two kids in nuclear family anyway. Right? So when you're speaking to these women, they're like, well, yeah, a couple of my friends are single and miserable, but many of us eventually get married and we have children. You're attempting to appeal to their morality. Meanwhile, it's really that bottom 80% of women that's out here frantic, pulling their hair out because they bought into what the elite women were saying. They were snarky, rude, mean, condescending, entitled brats to your average man. And now they're late 30s, early 40s, mid 40s, late 40s, early 50s, looking sick. Oh, that's a good one. It's Vince's the tierist and the tyranny. Oh boy, not the tyranny from the women on top, and the tierist of the average woman. God damn, Vince, that's a good one. You're a cold one, right? Huh? Y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. That's what we are. That's what we are, everyone. That's what we are. It ain't no better way to say it. That's what we are. Huh? So, Solemn Tabor, what I would say to that lady once again is, I don't think you appreciate that the men said no to the concept of community eunuch. These kind of pliable, right, men who do for women and look out for women with nothing in return. As a matter of fact, the women giving them their ass to kiss, the women encourage and want them to say the most sexist, mean, condescending, rude stuff about other men, right? Sound like Steve Harvey. It's a man's job to take care of some wife and kids. What wife and kids? Whoopsie. Sound like Shaq. I'm due for my daughter, but my sons do get it how they live. Huh? Sound like former President Barack Obama lecturing black men at Morehouse with the no excuses over and over again. When these young men are graduating college, which is a good indication that they don't use excuses. But you got to throw the red meat up there for racist white society and for wayward, mean black women, sexist ass, misandrous ass black women. The men see that, Miss Salem Tabor, and they're not signing up for that. Barack Obama went to that DNC office and lectured black men, and 21 or so percent, 20% of black men, a whole lot of white men, and a whole lot of Latino men said, yeah, about that. Nope. Huh? Nope. Call us sexist all you want. Nope. Call us misogynistic all you want. Nope. We're not signing up for that. That lecturing and being and to hear Simone Sanders say, some of these men, they felt like it was condescending. No, it was condescending. The way the left speaks to heterosexual straight men is condescending. And the men gave you their ass to kiss. Who would have thought who would have thought that speaking to the men, to average men like they're defective girls and women, who would have thought they would have turned their backs on you? Who would have ever thunk that the party that told us it's about everyone else but straight men, who would have thought the straight men would have been like, yeah, about that? Oh, you men don't need help. You mean the elite white men don't need help. That's what you mean. You mean the elite white men that all of you are chasing after, and I don't mean all of you are chasing after. You mean they don't need help. Uh-oh. Adric says, whatever happened to Steve Harvey? He disappeared somewhere, just like former President Barack Obama. You think President Barack Obama didn't hear what we were saying after he went to that DNC lecture to lecture black men? That DNC center to lecture black men? He heard it. He just thought we didn't mean it. And then the election results came out. Whoopsie. Thank you, Mr. Seed. Class flatness. These women are around elite white men, a handful of brothers that are elite, maybe one or two Latinos that are elite, a couple of South and East Asian, the Rokanas of the world that are elite, the Andrew Yangs of the world that are elite. They're around the Barack Obamas, the Cory Bookers, right? And a whole lot of white elite men. And then all the men don't need help. Huh? The men don't need help. And the men are okay with us and our sexist language and our misandrous language. That's why I'm Kim Foster over here trying to sell shirts. Misandry's not real. The men said, all right, bet. I bet. Misandry's not real? I bet. Miss Foster, you're going to be okay. What about all the other women that think like you and talk like you, that only make 50 and 48 and 45,000? And they over here with us in the working class and the working poor and maybe even the lower middle class. Have fun. Huh? True. And Lithium says Yang has been sounding the alarm, but he has an autistic son. Andrew Yang know what is Andrew Yang know, and he's Asian. He know ain't nobody gonna give a damn about what his son got to say. The assumption is gonna be that his son is super good at math and super straight, and you're an Asian man too. You ain't suffer. Get out of here. You have no struggles. Get out of here. I said, look. Shout out to Obsidian for this language. We say what we say. We wait for the facts to catch up. I've said it before. Shout out to my subscribers. Y'all heard Z say this. If y'all think 20% of elite men and 80% of women are gonna hold up the sky, good luck then. That's what y'all saying. Z, we're not saying that. That's what y'all are showing through action, so that's what y'all are saying. Shout out to Jason Black. You keep on with the talk. Yeah, loser men. All this fine. Shout out to Ebony K. Williams. All that mediocre talk. Fine. And the mediocre men said, we got some for that ass. The loser men, all the Manosphere men, shout out to you, once again, Jason Black. We said we got something for that ass. Huh? Oh boy. All this talk, culture is downstream from politics. Y'all speak like y'all 20% of men and all the women could hold up the sky. And we said, all right, let's see you do it. Let's see you do it. Darren Jones says, you got grown ass men saying to other men they shouldn't date broke. Huh? How do you know that how do you know your woman is down to ride with you when you meet her and you're elite already? Oh, wait, you don't. Whoopsie. You better never fall off. We know how it go. You fall off, she fall off. Oops. And she walking out the door with your last dollar. Goddamn. We know that's how it go. How do you know, Z? Because that's what the divorce numbers say. Goddamn. Whoopsie. Exactly what Darren Jones is saying. Huh? You shouldn't date broke. And the women said, yeah. And then the women also complain about not being married. And shout out to the young lady that said, well, if you only earn 50, you shouldn't be dating. And the men said, bet. All the women that thought that was funny and cool and clapping it up, all the elite men that were quiet about it, huh? All that sound nice. Let's come right back to it, Z. If we don't get to have families, you don't get to have a society. As Riel said, you fall off, she gets lost. I'll say that. Huh? Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Y'all give Z a second. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. And we're back. And we're back. And Vince is dating in my range. What? Ew. It ain't that fair. It ain't far. Well, it ain't far. Well, look, so yeah, because I think you're in the DMV area, so I know that aspiration is high like a mug, right? But you are also in the area with a bit more educated black women and different women, and so that's a plus also. But that aspirationalism, it's different than a Miami because the aspirationalism is just bright lights and look at me and Lamborghinis and whatnot. Excuse me, Lamborghini and Bentleys and all that other stuff. But then you are with the more introspective, educated folks up there. Maybe not introspective, that might be the wrong word. Z, you said introspective. What you really meant was homely. Goddamn, Z. What you really meant was the Hollywood for ugly people. Goddamn, Z, you being mean like a mug to DMV. I am. Right? So yeah, so it is a catch-22 because you are around the more educated women that kind of deal with more can potentially engage in more complex concepts, and you can have real conversations with, and they're smarter, maybe definitely more educated. So that's a plus. Here's the issue, and this goes back to what Z was saying earlier. How many of these women are and have been raised and socialized to actually be quote unquote equal to a man? Huh? Now, what we're seeing is, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say it was Scott Galloway. That's kind of he's trying to appeal to the women. So he's speaking. He's trying to justify their hypocrisy with the fact that the women are the ones who actually give birth to the children, and so he's trying to justify the hypergamy element of it all. And the men are saying, "Yeah, no. Now what? Huh?" I get what you're trying to say. And Vince is educated, but not as intelligent or independent as you would think or as you would imagine. Yeah, I've engaged with those. I've definitely engaged with those. And once again, KMS, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Right. And I agree with what KMS was saying. Look, if whoever shout yourself out, if you're part of the replay gang, shout out to the replay gang. Shout yourself out because you were 100% right. If we don't get families, you don't get a society. And I think on the fringes, the I think on the fringes, the Dr. Richard Reeves understand that, and they're attempting. That's why they're saying we have to give these men a new script. Give these men a new script. No, the men are going to keep on rejecting that. The average man, if it's only the top 20, if fine, if we're going to a world where 20, 25%, maybe a third of men get to at least once in their life get married, and they're going to be the ones who have the kids. If we're going to go to a world where 40% of men have children, a third of men have children, maybe a quarter of men ever get married, or maybe a third of men ever get married, 20% or so of men, 15% or so of men stay married, but yet you need at least 80% of men, 90% of men to be working and be aspirational and be striving. The men said no. If only half of us are going to have children, and that's if it's even half, and if only a quarter of us are ever going to get married, maybe a third, and only 15 or 20% of us are ever going to stay married, absolutely not. Who's signing up for that? Who's signing up for that? The men said no. The white men said no. The Latino men said no. Asian men said no. Black men said no. Black men telling everybody, look, man, I'm telling y'all, you look at it, look at it, look at what's going on in the black community. If you need warning, look at this. Look at this. Huh? As Mr. Z keep on saying, produce a better product. We ain't signing up for this. We're not. And Darren Jones says, and thank you for the super chat, if you can't date me broke, I can't marry you rich. Simple as that, right? And straight, women get the concept, Mr. Darren Jones. Women get the concept because those are the same women that say, if you don't like me at my worst, then you shouldn't get me at my best. If you can't handle me at my worst, then you don't deserve me at my best. The women get the concept. They get it. They just don't think you are deserving, right? And they don't want to do the whole struggle love. I'm not doing struggle love, Kevin. I'm not doing struggle love. And the men said, I bet. Go, as the brother off of Lipif said, y'all go ahead and go marry the elite man, and y'all go do y'all thing with the elite man. Just make sure polygamy is legal and make sure street walking is legal. And the men will save up their money and they'll go see the head doctor at the end of the month. Fine. Once again, if we don't get families, y'all don't get a society. And Darren continues and says, I don't qualify to lift that weight up off of you when it falls on at the gym, right? Hey, Darren, check, and you might be referring to this, but go ahead and check my shorts, right? Well, my shorts, right? There's a pause. There's a video in my shorts that actually speaks to that. It's funny as hell. It's funny as hell, right? Man, man. And Mr. Seed says a picture of an empty apartment with a weight bench is making the rounds, with a caption, "All a dude really needs," and it get like a bombed AF. Right? I'm a little lost on the end of that statement, but that's all it is. Look, we know the ladies are gonna hate. Some of the brothers are gonna hate. Some of the regular men are gonna hate, even though it's speaking to some of their plight and some of their issues. I'm not saying that, and I actually don't want this. This will be a messed up dystopian situation in a different way. I'm not saying we legislate women and demand that they end up with a man at a certain age. I'm not saying that. I'm not simply speaking about some type of forced monogamy or any type of that stuff. Nah. I am saying socializing our society and our women and our girls, that ending up with someone eventually, in your 20s, should be the goal. Forming families is not a bad thing. And if y'all gonna talk about equality and egalitarianism, telling the women, hey, some of y'all are not gonna end up with men that earn more than you. That's just how the cookie crumbles. Say it again, Z. Most of you are not gonna end up with men that earn significantly more than you. Most of you are going to end up with men that earn a little bit more than you, equal to you, or less than you. That's just how the cookie crumbles. And for all the women that say no, and all the women say I'd rather be a single cat lady, and all the women that say I'd rather do bad all by myself, and all the Chrissies of the world that say, well, if you can't practice, I tell average and below average looking black women that if they can't practice hypergamy, then it's better than be alone, and I don't care. By the way, of those of you that don't know, that's a real statement from a real black woman. Check out Compassion and Callus's channel. Huh? And for all the women that say that, all right, I hope you got a good job and got some good money. And I hope you can maintain that good job. Because an increasing amount of men said, yeah. If you want me to be a community eunuch, then she gonna be a single cat lady. She better love it, huh? And she better mean everything she say. All that 4B movement stuff, Mr. Z's gonna get to it. I guess we're covering this again. She better mean it. You want me to be a community eunuch? She gonna be a single cat lady. All these women trying to thread. Oh, we're not gonna have sex with all of these men. Wait a minute, dear ladies, you weren't having sex with all of these men anyway. You were having sex with a select few men based off the numbers. Say it again, Z. Y'all were having sex with a select group of men anyway based off the numbers. So who are you really threatening? See, this is the problem. The men have been having these conversations, and we've been actually pouring through the numbers. We've been actually speaking about the facts in human history. The women over here threatening us with stuff that the masses of men and boys weren't getting anyway. Oh, we ain't gonna have sex. We're not gonna have their children, and we're not gonna go on dates with them. Wait a minute. Y'all weren't doing that with a lot of these dudes anyway. The numbers say at least a third of young men under the age of 30 don't have sex. It says that the women are earning more than the men under the age of 30 anyway. It says the women under the age of 30 are in relationships with men over the age of 30 anyway. So you threatening the young men to do more of what y'all were doing anyway? Dear Gen Z, dear the youngest, excuse me, of millennials, y'all threatening the young men to do what y'all were already doing anyway? Huh? And Vince says, we we were taking notes, sharing notes, and comparing numbers, doing surveys, right? And double check the numbers. Darren, you see what I'm saying? And Darren says the white women saw the writing on the wall and they apologized for feminism and voted for Trump. Black women don't get it, or they do get it, and then they're doing the whole either they're doing the Kim Foster saying, well, hey, more and more single white cat ladies are coming, so eventually this is gonna flip, or they're doing the Chrissy and saying, well, the black men don't have a patriarchy and black men don't have a program to get down with, because by the way, Darren, that's Chrissy's way of responding to Z when I say, hey, get on a black man's program. Chrissy's then says black men don't have a program to get down with, and black men said, I bet we don't got a program to get down with. Chrissy, you make good money to be single. The masses of black women don't. According to the St. Louis Federal Reserve, once again, black women make 8 cents the white man's dollar. Oops. And single childless black women have the least amount of wealth in America. You said black women, excuse me, you said black men don't have a program for black women to get down with. But yet single childless black women have the least amount of wealth in America. Apparently, black men do got a program, because black women instantly do better when they're with black men. Instantly do better when they're in a relationship. Uh-oh. Thank you, Vince. Numbers. Larry Jew's voice. Numbers. Good job, Z. Good job, Larry. Huh? So yeah, y'all. Look, we damn near about to approach 2.5 hours. So let me pause right here. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all got to check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content. You know, Z got stuff to do. Yeah, y'all. Look, can't keep this a regular stream for too long. We know what this is. The ladies are full of crap, right? Dear Miss Solemn Taver, The men are not signing up to be community eunuchs. Dear Dr. Richard Reeves, the Tim Walz form of masculinity, the men rejected it because it comes off too much like community eunuch. To all the white liberal women and all the white feminists and even the black feminists, Latinas and Asian feminists, I knew they would try to weaponize the Tim Walz form of masculinity against the masses of men. And the men are not signing up for that. And that, by the way, that's not necessarily Mr. Z trying to offend Tim Walz. I appreciate and understand how the left is trying to use him juxtaposition, right, to JD Vance. And the men said no. Because it's not about Tim Walz per se. It's how the left is trying to use the Tim Walz form of masculinity and say, this is the ideal masculinity. And the men understand what the women are really trying to do. The community eunuch form of masculinity. Not because Tim Walz is necessarily that, but because the women see him as that. Uh-oh. Huh? And that's what they want the average man who's not getting vagina to be. Nope. Young men, even if they couldn't put it in words, they saw that and said, yeah, about that. No. I knew that's what the goal was when I heard Emma Vigeland speak about Tim Walz and when I heard Jonathan Capehart speak about Tim Walz. I was like, oh, okay, I see what y'all doing. And now that Dr. Richard Reeves brought it up, I was like, I knew it. I knew that's what y'all were trying to do with Tim Walz. Right? And Vince says, good job, Z. Good job, BGS. Good job, Green Gorilla. Good job, Dr. T. Hassan Johnson. Good job, Passport OG. Good job, Compassionate. Good job, Roger Report, right? And so on that note, y'all, we will pause right here. Truly love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all have a great, great rest of y'all day. Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content. I'm not sure if Dr. Thunder is still streaming. He might be. The Roger Report should be streaming. If not, he's just about to. Y'all go check them out. And Mr. Z out. All right, y'all. Y'all have a great rest of y'all day.